Welcome to the Bullpen Show, powered by Architect Sports and Carolina Counseling for Athletes. I'm Austin Alexander, and I'm joined by a quad box of champions right here. I've got Jack Jolly at Dorman, Andy Hallett at AC Flora, Casey Bradwell at Airport High School. All those guys won state championships. Another thing they've got in common is they're all going to be at the Forest Acres Classic next week at AC Flora. Before we get to that business, real quick, just want to welcome another member to the 600 Club. Hal Bagwell on Wednesday night won his 600th game as a high school coach. Hal Bagwell at Indianland. He also joins two of our panelists here, Jack Jolly, who did it earlier in the year. Coach Hallett, you did it just the other night. We're going to talk about that towards the end of this podcast. But before we do, I just want to tell you guys I appreciate you coming on today. Coach Hallett, we're going to start with you, and just want to kind of have you take us down memory lane of sorts, but also give us a history lesson on the Forest Acres Classic, how it started, and talk a little bit about this year's field as well, as we look forward to that next week.
Absolutely. We're going into our 21st year, and we're very excited that we've, passed the 20-year mark, and 21 is just another year of excellence that will come to Forest Acres for the week of spring break. We were fortunate 20 years ago that when we went to the city to ask them for a sponsorship, they were all in. And the city of Forest Acres has never wavered about sponsoring our event. And Richland County has jumped on board here in the last couple of years to really help out with the hotel situation. And the Big Red Box, which is a local company, also jumped in to help out with the meals for the tournament for the week. So things just come together every year. Once you do it so many times, it kind of turns into a wheel. It just keeps kind of turning itself. And we're really excited about having it again here in Forest Acres at AC Flora High School. And the field that we're bringing in this year, I think, might be the best one I've ever had.
Well, speaking of that field, I'm going to list it off. In bracket A, you got AC Flora, Indianland, Lexington, and Miller out of Virginia. In bracket B, you got Airport, Dorman, TC Roberson out of Asheville, North Carolina, and River Bluff. So that's obviously, very good field. Two out-of-state teams and some of the better clubs, obviously, in our state. So I'm going to kick it to you, Casey. How are you today? And kind of, you brought a club last year. Tell us what it's like for your team to be able to come to this tournament and what you're looking forward to next week.
Doing good, Ant. Just it's Forest Acres is kind of the point in the year where we find out what we're made of. Region's always tough, but we always go over there and play three really tough teams, and you have to compete, and it's really playoff like. And that's kind of the reason I try to get in it every year. It prepares you for playoffs, and you're going to see really good arms, really good teams, really good coaches. So it gets you ready for the rest of the year for sure.
Now, Coach Charlie, you guys are coming in 5A, ranked number one in the state. I ran right through everything down in Georgetown to start the season, playing good baseball right now. Talk about your club right now, how they're playing baseball, and what we can expect from the Cavaliers next week.
Yeah, the Classic was a good week for us, and it kind of propelled us into the regular season. Like you said, we've gotten off to a good start in our region. Matchups, we have one bump in the road there against Bowling Springs, a very good team that got us a couple Fridays ago. Just real pleased with how the guys continue to progress and work hard to improve, and we're really looking forward to coming down to the Forest Acres Classic. Like Andy said, we know we're going to face really, really good competition, and it's another chance for our guys to be together away from school and have some bonding time.
Dorman's coming in pretty much a buzzsaw, and of course, you look no further than you score runs, but you also got that pitching staff coming in. Are you at a point where you can reveal your starting rotation for next week?
No, but one of the things that we may do is try to deload some of our guys who's had a lot of innings so far and get some other guys some quality innings during the tournament. So we got to get through Friday night. We got Burns on Friday night, which is a big region contest for us. And then after that, we'll start looking to how we're going to mix and match and pitch for the tournament.
Along those lines, as far as pitching, Coach Hallett, you got conference on the front end and back end, obviously, of this big week we're talking about. How do you like to manage your pitching during this tournament in the midst of region play?
Well, we play our region games on Tuesday and Thursday. So one of the things that I know is that guaranteed that Tyler will either throw Monday or Tuesday to make sure that he gets his start. And then either Sam will throw either Wednesday or Thursday. So we're going to make sure that our two region starters will get their time where they're supposed to be. Pitch count will stay the same. But then for our other two games, we're going to throw some JV kids in there. We're going to throw our relief guys and have two basically what you'd call bullpen games and try to manage 4 games in 4 days.
Good. Now, Coach Bradwell, you've kind of been having to piecemeal a little bit with your staff. Got some guys that have been out due to injury. As you look into that week, how do you want to try to work that around your region stuff, but also get through these 4 games as well?
Yeah, we're gonna take it day by day. Hopefully, we'll see how tomorrow night holds up with our arms, and then Saturday and Sunday we'll try to figure out how to get some people out Monday night. But it's been that way all year for us. But we've had some guys step up. So, like Andy said, it might be guys 8, 9, and 10, but we'll go out there and compete.
Now, each of you guys won state championships. Coach Hallett, I think you're leading the way with your 7. But you guys are no stranger to postseason success. But when you have a field like this, you look at these 8 teams with your clubs coming and the other 7 that are in it, just one by one, I'd like to get your take on what kind of test this gives you midstream before you finish up region play, and then, of course, that right before the playoffs. Coach Jolly, we'll start with you.
Well, I'm hoping that, I know we're going to face good competition. So to be exposed before we get to the playoff run, and finishing the end of the season, playing good competition exposes you. And so we hope that happens so that we can make corrections and be better for playing in the tournament as we move forward, to finish the region season and hopefully get into the playoffs on a good note.
Coach Hallett, you're the architect of this field that we're going to see, these 8 teams. What did you have in mind when you built this list of 8 as it pertains to your club as well?
Well, there are a few mainstays. Airport has come back multiple times. River Bluff has been a mainstay with my relationship with Mark and his program. And then bringing Brian back last year with Lexington, I try to make sure that I balance the field so that we don't see each other unless it's on Thursday in a cross bracket situation, or if I played them last year, where I played River Bluff last year and I didn't play Miller, I'll just swap the bracket out to make sure that I don't play the same teams twice. But my whole objective when we put the thing together is to try to make sure that both brackets are going to be extremely competitive, and you're playing teams that you might not have normally seen during the regular season.
Casey, same question to you.
What was the question one more time?
Just as you look at the field, what does this mean for your club? You're in the middle of region play. You got more region play when you resume, and of course, right before the playoffs. How this gets you ready for that grind?
Yeah, I mean, like Jack said earlier, it's just getting exposed. Sometimes when you play in the region play, even though they're good teams, you play them so much, certain things works and certain things, you can do to manipulate games. And when you play other teams that you hadn't seen, you can do some things and you find out, hey, this might not work in the playoffs. This might work in the playoffs. But, going up against teams like Dorman with all the arms and that kind of thing, we got to find some guys that can step up, and it allows you to do that without, dropping a region game and playoff seeds. It lets you kind of test some things out, and it gets you ready to go.
Now, we opened the show talking about Coach Bagwell at Indiana just joining the 600 club, and I alluded to the fact that Coach Jolly, you and Coach Hallett have recently done that. And last month, you did it, Coach Jolly, and then Coach Hallett earlier this week, or last week, I guess. And just want to kind of talk about what that milestone is. It's a number, but what does that number mean to you, Coach Jolly? When you think back, most of those were at Carolina Forest, most recently at Dorman. If you think back over when that happened and it's being celebrated, what are some of the thoughts that came to mind for you?
First of all, to God be the glory. I mean, I would not be in this position or be surrounded by the people that I'm able to do this with, and been so fortunate to be at 4 great schools. I mean, you have to have administrative support at all the places that I've been have been really, really good, and it helps us to be able to do what we able to do on the field and off the field with the players. Obviously, you got to have talented players and guys who buy into what you're trying to do, and great assistant coaches, hardworking, loyal assistant coaches have been so fortunate every place I've been to have that. And then last but not least, a loving, supportive wife and family at home that you can't do it all these years without that. And so I've been very blessed and fortunate with that. So it is a milestone. It's something that I'm really appreciative that I've gotten there, but it's been a lot of people who's been involved with it. It's certainly not something that I've done on an island or by myself.
And Coach Hallett, all the championships, all the wins, 600 is the most recent one, obviously. When you're sitting there and you're being celebrated right there on the field, what were some of your candid thoughts? And then maybe even after it was over, you went home, as you kind of reflect back, your thoughts would be what?
Well, it was really kind of a cool day. I got some messages from some of my former players telling me they were coming down that don't even live in Columbia and that we're going to be at the field. So that started my day out kind of with a smile on my face, knowing that guys that are, in their mid-30s are going to be coming to the field tonight to celebrate something that we were hopeful was going to happen. Obviously, when you step on the field, you're never guaranteed to win. But we're playing at home with our best arm, so we kind of liked our chances on Tuesday night that we could come out on top. And Tyler didn't disappoint. He threw the ball extremely well, and we played offense for him. So as the game kept moving on, it was tight, and you start thinking to yourself, we're going to win this game tonight. And then the offense kind of took over the game in the fifth and the sixth. So when you start realizing that it's actually going to happen, you do kind of reflect. You look back in the dugout, and you look out at the outfield fence, and you see numbers on the wall, and you think about all the kids that were there and the assistant coaches that were with you, and having Charlie on the play-by-play for the Definite Fiction broadcast was really special to me. Being the Charlie actually worked for me as his first job. I coached against him at Spring Valley for probably a dozen years, and then he was my boss. So to have him involved in it was really special for me. I think Jack hit the nail on the head, is that you don't do it by yourself. You surround yourself with great people, the support of God, your family, your people that count. And when it's over with, you look back and it's just something that you're really proud of. To say that it's 27 and a half years, if you take away the COVID and the stuff, to get to that number, it's something I'm really proud of. I think it means that we do things the right way. Our kids graduate from high school, they become productive citizens of society. And the ones that get it, they come back. They understand the whole process, and it's something that you'll obviously remember for a very long time. But it's kind of a big culmination of just emotions and thought processes and just great memories of people that have come with you and have left, and some that are still here, like Charlie. And it's really hard to think of it when you start, Casey, because I remember being you, but it's a really neat thing to think that I've been here and accomplished that in the time that we've been here.
When Coach Bradwell, he alluded to you, you're just a handful of wins behind these two guys. When you sit there and listen to them reflect on a number that seems like almost an unapproachable number, as you're just kind of relative to these guys getting started with your career. Of course, you are the most recent one to win a state championship, right? So you got that little bit of bragging power over those guys. But when you listen to them talk and you think about that and these guys that are hitting these milestones, as a young coach, your thoughts would be what?
I just respect the way they've done it. Starting out as a young assistant and just watching those guys and their programs, and you just kind of think, man, like whatever Andy's doing. Obviously, I have more relationship with Andy because he's in Columbia, but just seeing what they did, and beating us in the state championship and seeing the way he does things, and it's just, I think it's awesome just to be able to compete against him. It's fun watching how they've done things over the years, and the biggest thing for me is just the consistency. We talk about all the time in our program, just trying to be consistent day in, day out. But then you start thinking about, 27 years of that. It's, I'm only 37 years old, and so it's kind of like, man, that's a long time to be that consistent. But yeah, they're two good men that I look up to, and hopefully we can do the same thing. And I don't know if I'll be here for 27 more years. You know, we strive for that.
Well, it is an insanely high number, but what's interesting too, like you said, the consistency, but they're still spitting relevant teams out there on the field, more than relevant, obviously state contenders yet again. And so looking forward to having all 8 of these teams that will be, gracing the field. One of the teams we mentioned earlier was Miller out of Virginia. Coach Hallett, if you could kind of talk a little bit about the Hall of Famer that's going to be rolling in. He's been a mainstay in this tournament as well. Of course, we're talking about Billy Wagner, who was inducted into Cooperstown last summer. Last year, it was pretty cool to have him down there as an inductee he'd been, I guess, been accepted to the Hall of Fame, but he hadn't gone in and been inducted. Now he has. Talk a little bit. You get him down here, how that relationship began. Bring him down here now that his plaque is on the wall in Cooperstown.
Yeah, our relationship is kind of a really interesting dynamic. I knew the name Billy Wagner back when I was in college because he was at Ferrum, and I was at Oswego State, and we would actually go to Ferrum. That's how our season would start. So I joked to my roommate, who was the first baseman at the time, when Billy was, going to be one of the top 3 or 4 picks in the draft. I said, I just pitched, buddy. You got to hit against him. And we got snowed out. So we never went to Ferrum that year to actually see Billy pitch or to play against him. Fast forward 25 years later, and 22, whatever Billy's been at Miller, he reached out and said he was coaching, and was looking for games as they traveled down to Florida and coming back. So we hooked up, and the story, became real that Billy Wagner, former Major League Baseball player, former Ferrum player, was actually coming here, and we were going to play against him. And we played a game against him on a Thursday night. We kind of got the better of him. But this was back when I was, we were 13, 14. We were kind of running pretty hard. Very good teams back then. Billy practiced here the next day. I spent probably 2-3 hours just talking with him about baseball. We became pretty good friends. And ever since then, after I played his team and watched how he coached, and I'm like, this is a guy I want to continue to bring back to our tournament, because everything they do is with high character, class, and they just play the game right, in my words. And I just think that's a reflection probably from the leadership that Billy gives them.
That's right. Well, I look forward to it. And for folks that are listening to this right now, it starts on Monday morning at 10 o'clock. The game times each Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are at 10 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 7 o'clock. So 4 games each day starting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's going to basically be round robin play with championship flavor on Thursday. Those game times are at 10 and 1. I guess that'll be determined sometime on Wednesday as the finals start to roll in. So again, AC Flora, Indian Land, Lexington, Miller out of Virginia, Airport, Dorman, TC Roberson, River Bluff will be on display next week at the Forest Acres Classic. And of course, Diamond Prospects will have a front row seat. We'll be covering it all, and we look forward to seeing all 8 of these participants once again. It's been a tournament we've covered every year that you've had it, Andy, and look forward to returning again. You guys do a super job hosting it. One, getting a competitive field that makes people want to come in. We're hoping college coaches will be there. Pro scouts, I would imagine, will be in the house as well. But like I said, we'll be there. We'll be able to chronicle everything that we're able to see. We'll have social media going throughout. I know that Scrocky Sports will be there, also putting out everything he does. He does a tremendous job. So it'll be no shortage of information being shot out of AC Flora. But folks, if you're in the area and you want to see some good baseball, look no further than where we'll be. All 4 of us, and of course, all 8 of those teams will be at AC Flora next week for the Forest Acres Classics. Again, Austin Alexander with Jack Jolly, Andy Hallett, Casey Bradwell. I really appreciate you guys joining us. Baseball fans out there, check out thediamondprospects.com. We got our watch list out. Our schedules are up. Region standings are up. Baseball's in full bloom. Of course, we got spring break coming up and this tremendous tournament right around the corner, and we can't wait. So thank all the baseball fans that are out there. Once again, I want to thank our sponsors, Architect Sports, Carolina Counseling for Athletes. Again, I'm Austin Alexander. We'll see you at the ballpark real soon.